Hello and welcome everyone. Hang on, let me just get this. Let me just organize the screen. Do I do that?
Those files, and then you use those files to do all kinds of things. And it's difficult to talk
So
about this
before we
right.
start, can we ask everyone to mute themselves? Meanwhile, my co-host will be looking at everyone to unmute, to mute everyone. Yeah. Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome to my session today. So today is the first day that we are starting the ASWARA on Air Challenge, and this is our vocal clinic, fully brought to you by ASWARA. So ASWARA is our national arts and heritage and culture academy of Malaysia, and yeah, we provide all sorts of courses, right from beginner courses, foundation, all the way until PhD. So it is, for me, it is one of the most exciting places that I'm involved with, and I'm very, very proud to say that I'm able to participate as one of their faculty member. And thanks to Aswara, today's show is fully sponsored, and we get to share on various topics on voice. So if you allow me just a few seconds to try and adjust the screen so that I could have myself as the main center. Do you see me as in the center of the screen? Yeah. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Let me have a look on how we look. All right. Yes. So, well, today is also the first time that we are linking Zoom together with our online streaming on Facebook. So we are still in the means of testing how it works and so on. So please do give us a feedback after the session. So, what will happen in this session? So, in these sessions, this is the first session out of 5 months. So, this voice clinic will start now in May, June, July, August, and September. And hopefully, if you find this clinic, a voice clinic, helpful to all of you, please do give us your feedback, and so that our sponsors will know that it's helpful for you, and that we can carry on this voice clinic for a longer period. So I'm going to explain today what contents that we are going to have in this voice clinic and what we're going to do. So in case you're wondering if this voice clinic is really suitable for you, and I would say yes, 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 and 10 times or a million times yes, because we all use our voice. Every single one of us use our voice every day. Be it if you are a singer, of course, you use your voice. If you're an actor, you use your voice. If you are a teacher, you use your voice. If you're a politician, you use your voice. If you are a lecturer, you use your voice. And you can name it. If you're a mother, you use your voice. If you're a father, you use your voice. If you're a sister, you use your voice. And I can go on and on and on and on and on and on. And that's how much we use your voice. We use our voice every day. And so it is important for us to know what happens, because many of us wonder what happens to our voice, why we suddenly don't have any voice, and what happens in this and that. But there's many of us who do not know what is happening. Yeah. So in this session, I will be bringing on various hosts along together with me to also share various topics about the voice. So we will cover not only singing, but we will also cover various topics in terms of voice remediation, problems in terms of vocal health, and many more. Yeah. So before I proceed, I noticed that some cameras are turned off. Can I ask everyone to turn on your cameras because the admin will remove people who are not having their cameras on. This is for the safety of everyone. So we ask everyone to please turn on your camera so that we know who's joining us. Right. So, what topics are we going to cover? So, we're going to talk about how our voice works, getting to know the various vocal tracks, getting to know what produces sound, where does the sound come from. And we're going to talk about vocal health, on how you could take care of your health so that you won't lose your voice. And along with me, we have various guests that will come along. We have speech pathologists, we have ENTs, we have vocal teachers, we have also life practitioners who are doing vocal remediation, voice remediation. We also have people who are teaching various voice methods in musical theater, opera, choir. So we'll be bringing in also choir directors. And the best thing is that we're going to bring people from all over the world. So every week that we come on this session, we'll be sharing with you various topics. And if you have any topics that you want us to cover, you're most welcome to email to us, which I will provide the email at the link and at the end of the session. So in between, as we are discussing, if you have any sessions, we will open up question and answer sessions before we end the video. So you are most welcome to interact with us, and we hope that you also give your opinions. If you have some opinions, some ideas that you can share with us, it will help. So I would like to introduce to you two of my very good friends, which I hope they are online now because of the time difference. So two very, very special friends of mine from Thailand. They are speech pathologists. Um, the first one is Miss Sirirat, and the second one is Miss Srinakon. Are they online at the moment? Let me check.
Miss Sirira is online.
Yes, Miss Sirirat, are you here?
I'm here.
There we have. Okay, we have Miss Sirirat over there, and Miss Sirirat is from Bangmungrat Hospital. Did I get it correctly? Yes, and then do we have Miss Rinakon online today?
I'm here.
Okay, so yeah, so next week we will have our session with Miss Sirirat, in which we will talk on some vocal issues. Miss Sirirat and I we attended the same training for the Steel Voice training in Sydney, and Miss Sirirat is a licensed therapist, a speech therapist attached with the Bangmungrat Hospital in Bangkok. We organized a session together with my choir in which she helped them in terms of pronunciation, in correcting vocalization, and various issues. So we'll be covering those issues. So if you have ever had any vocal trauma, if you have lost your voice before, or you always wonder why I can't do this or that, please send us a message and we will address that issues. Yeah. Okay. So right. So let's start. So now, how does our voice work? Now, maybe a lot of you can relate to this thing where everyone says that if you go for a voice lesson, it's all about the breath. And some people will say that you need 6 months training about the breath and just about the breath. Well, so we will talk about this, whether is it a myth or is it true. Right. So first thing we need to know is the structure. Um, the vocal tract. What happens in the vocal tract? Okay, so this is where we're going to talk about power source filter. And Miss Sirirat, or you can see where she puts her nickname there, Peng. How should our audience address you?
Peng is fine.
Peng. All right. So so I'll be discussing with Peng here. So we will be yes. So we were talking about power source filter. So and Miss
Take for
Sirirat,
example,
or you can see where she puts her nickname there. Okay. So we have to. Yep. All right. So now power source filter. So like when we drive our car, we need gasoline, we need petrol in order for us to get our car moving. So the same thing, what creates voice, what creates sound wave is our breath. So that's the power. We all need to know that we can't escape of not having breath in order to have sound. Okay? And then we have the source of the sound, which is our vocal folds. The vocal folds will vibrate and produce sound wave. And that sound wave is pure raw sound that goes up next into the other structures above the vocal folds where it meets, like for example, the tongue, the velum. Now, in case you are wondering what on earth am I talking about, don't worry, we will cover on that one by one. I understand. All these things can be quite alien to a lot of people. Okay, so it moves up, and then other structures turn this raw sound into something that we can understand. Yeah. Okay. So we will look at these different structures on how it works, and then we will give you tips on what can be done. But so we very much welcome you to send us your questions. Yeah. So Miss Sirirat or Miss Peng. Yeah. So in your line, what is the most problematic thing about the voice that you encounter?
Um, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, most of the time we avoid disorder, like for people who abuse their voice, for example, teacher or students
Mm-hmm.
who scream a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite the main thing. And also for singer, sometimes they have vocal nodules. That's another problem as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, vocal nodules. Yes, we will be covering that topic on vocal nodules and remediation. So a lot of times, what we notice is that as singers, people jump into singing without having to prepare their voice. And this is something where I say prepare a voice instead of warming up, because what normally singers do is they just come inside and they just hit on the keys and go na 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 yeah 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 and hit up the scale and going down. But what people forget is that, well, in sports, before we start to swim or before they run or do any physical stuff, they always start with stretching and stretching the muscles so we won't get any injuries. But for singers, for somehow we always think that we just go onto the piano and just do our yeah 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 and we consider that our warm up. But here's an idea for you. Aren't we already singing? Yeah. So what I would recommend is that we always start off by our voice preparation. And what I find useful for me is the good old siren. Sirening is very, very important. Yeah. With sirening, we can know if our voice is in a good condition to sing or we are not in a good condition to sing. We can also know that if we are, like we're getting a flu and so on. Yeah. So what we can do is practice on siren. Now, how do we do a siren? Okay, the first thing what we do is when we do a siren, we want it to be soft. It's just for ourselves, and it's not for us to compete, especially if you're in a choir. Now, when I'm saying about siren, when we are preparing this voice, this relates also to people in speech. So if you are an MC, or if you are a lecturer, or you have to give a talk, or an actor, this works as well. Okay, so what we do is just a siren on NG like this. All right, we start it slowly first. We can do it. So I will demonstrate and you can try it at home. See, we'll do the first one. Right? And then next thing, we do 2 sirens. Right. Now, as you're doing these sirens, it's important to check if you're pushing your tummy. We want to avoid you pushing the tummy because we do not want you to use extra breath. Now, you might have come across some people who are speaking a lot with their breath, or they sing a lot by supporting their breath. And what you get is that, I'm out of breath, I can't sing the entire phrase. Can I breathe here? And choral directors or your vocal teacher will say, no, that's ugly. And so people will go like, oh dear, I have to practice breathing for 6 months. Now, let me ask you, every one of us, does anyone live on this earth without breathing? So breathing is something natural that we all do. When your lungs, you are depleted of air, you automatically inhale. It's what we call the recoil breath. All right. So we don't need to practice how to breathe. Perhaps if vocal teachers were to rephrase in saying that we need to practice how to sustain sound, that to me that might be a little bit more accurate. All right. So the reason I'm saying this is because when you're doing your siren, we don't want you to be doing this. All right. When you do that, you can hear that there's a lot of air coming out, and the siren is also shorter. And maybe some people might have experienced that when they sing a lot, they go giddy, or they suddenly feel, oh, my head is giddy and so on. This is also perhaps because you're pushing a lot of air. The exchange of gases is not consistent. All right. So start off soft, and go to 2 rounds. And then try to do multiple sirens like this. Okay, and we go. I can show you on a voice print on how it looks like. So let me turn on my voice print. Hang on, I turned on the wrong thing. Okay, here's my voice print. Okay, I think, Nana, there's more people wanting to enter the
No, I put him there because he didn't turn on his video.
And I noticed there are some people still in the chat room which have their videos turned off. So maybe you could check on that, please. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. So everyone, you can see here. This is a spectrogram, all right? So it shows you the sound waves that is produced. So if you can see, now I'm going to do a siren. I'm going to do 1 siren. Right, I'd have to do that one more time, sorry. So you can see, this is the siren that I've made, and I've sung from G2, I went up all the way until E flat 5. So when you're doing your siren, you want it to be more than an octave. Yeah? And this siren, when you keep on doing this siren, it will help you also increase your range. So what is happening is that your thyroid cartilage will be tilting. Again, I'm using a lot of terminology today. And for those of you who are not familiar with this terminology, don't worry. You will need to hear all these different cartilages and muscles, which I will discuss on it week to week. So first day on this topic, everyone, not everyone, but most people will be lost and they will say like, can I even follow this? But I assure you, you will. You just have to attend it weekly, because we will discuss on this, and our voice experts will help out. All right, so you look at it. So make sure that this siren is really clean. So this is what I do with my students. All right, we check that sirens. Now, if your voice is unwell or if you have some swelling, this is how it will look like. I'll demonstrate. Okay, if this should happen, and can you look at this part? There's a gap, which means that there must be some swelling going on in the vocal folds somewhere, some part of the vocal folds, and that's why it is suddenly silent over here. And this is how we check if your vocal folds it's healthy or it's unhealthy. All right, so when you start, before you do any warm-ups, do your sirens, and this is how it looks like doing multiple sirens. As you can see here, over here, I started off a little bit, and as I keep on doing my siren, it gets much easier and easier, and I could get it higher, and I'll play again. Okay, so what happens if you do and suddenly you find that it doesn't work well? Now, keep on doing it, and sometimes some people might find that there's more phlegm coming up. Don't worry about it. Keep on doing. That's most probably, those phlegm from the swelling. Yeah, it will slowly remove, and then your voice will get clearer and clearer. So I do this all the time, and you can do your sirens anywhere. When you're driving to work, lawyers, when you're driving to the courthouse. I know you need your big, strong voice. Do your sirens in your car. No one will know you're doing your sirens. By the time you arrive at the courthouse, you're ready for the battle. Teachers, before you go into your classroom, do that. And those people who are doing your debate, do that. And for us singers, we do that before we get into our rehearsals. Our sirens, until you can get up there. All right. The thing is not to push. Never, 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 ever push. Never push your breath, because once you push your breath, it can lead to lots and lots of vocal trauma, and that we will speak together with Miss Peng or Miss Sirirat. Yeah, we will discuss on that, and we will teach you, give you suggestions on how you can eliminate all those vocal issues. But for today, my topic, I'll be focusing on the sirens. Okay, so the same thing for actors as well. You start with that. And always start at the most comfortable pitch. And again, it's not a challenge of who sings the highest siren and who sings the lowest siren. Okay, so it's what that's comfortable for you. So start with the sirens, and then we will move on to other topics such as retraction. So hang on, let me just turn off that one. All right. So a lot of the vocal problems happen. Is one thing is because people don't don't prepare their voice before they warm up, and the next thing is because people always assume that the breath is the ultimate thing that to help them to get their high notes, and they start to push, and so different issues arise. So we will be covering these few vocal tracks. So we'll be talking about let me start right from the top. So we'll start with the lips. We'll be talking about the lips, the tongue, the velum, the jaw, the true vocal folds, the false vocal folds, the epiglottis, and the torso, the head and neck. So all these muscles, we will talk every week. We'll focus on one of them. All right, and for next week's session with Peng, we will be talking about vocal nodules and vocal polyps. I think that would be an interesting topic for everyone to know, because many vocal teachers fall into having vocal trauma, having vocal polyps, especially vocal nodules. Vocal nodules, and that would be a very, very good topic for us to discuss about. And also, we want to cover about swelling. Yeah, because lots of people have vocal swelling, and also I'll be covering the topic about this thing about what singers. I find in my own singers, they come and tell me in their choir rehearsals, I'm sorry, I can't come for choir class today because I am having sore throat. The biggest excuse that I have all the time. So I usually tell them, is your vocals folds swelling? Are they swelling? If they're not swelling, then I think you can sing. You feel a little bit of pain, but you can still sing unless they're having laryngitis. Well, Peng could correct me if I'm wrong, but by having sore throat, it's more towards having pain in the pharyngeal walls rather than the vocal folds, isn't it?
Well, like you said before, if you don't have laryngitis or if your vocal cord is not swell, then it's fine to use your voice. Yeah, and the sore throat, it doesn't have to be that you have problem with your cords.
Thank you. So yeah, so that's what I think as well. I totally agree, because you will feel pain. Now that pain is because your larynx is moving, it's traveling up and down, and it rubs against your pharyngeal wall, which is already inflamed because it has bacterial infection and so on. So that's the pain. So if that's the pain, we understand. But having sore throat isn't a reason to skip classes. You can still do a lot of things. All right. So before we open the topic for question and answers, today's focus will be on the siren. So I would recommend everyone to try out the siren. So I'll repeat what you do. All right. So first thing you do is you start it off soft with just one siren. Okay, and your body, okay, can be relaxed. Just imagine like you're playing a toy car, a fire engine or something. All right, and then if it's fine, go into two sirens. And if you find there's no problem, then go into more sirens. And go as low and as high as you can. But just be careful when you're going up to the top. Make sure that you're not pushing until you hurt your throat. Remember, using your voice, everything has to be done moderately. We do not want you to push a lot. Anything that you feel pain is bad. But you're feeling, when you're doing all these exercises, if you're feeling it, you're feeling aches, that's totally fine. It's just like when you don't go to the gym and suddenly you want to be a hero, during this lockdown period, you want to lose 10 kilos. And then you start carrying all those dumbbells at home. Like I've been on my machine trying to lose a few kilos and so on. And then you feel some, aches here and there. That's totally fine because your muscles are starting to work. But if you feel pain, scratchy, itchy, burning sensation, then you know that those are vocal traumas. So you need to differentiate between having vocal trauma and between having just aches. Okay, so these are things you need to work out. All right, so we will move on to the next session for question and answers, in which I welcome every one of you to have some questions that I'll answer. If you have questions for me or for Peng, we will both answer those questions. But before we go that, let's watch some message from our sponsors. So hang on. So as you prepare to ask, let's have some message from our sponsors. And there you have it. All right, so we open up our session now for question and answers. Now, I know I accidentally deactivated um, the chat box while doing it today, and I will activate it again for next week. So next week you'll be able to do that, because if I were to do it now, I have to go back in onto the web screen and reconfigure. All right, so we have question from Haziq. So I'm going to unmute Haziq at the moment. Okay, yes, Haziq, you have a question. Hazrik, sorry.
Hi, Dr. Casey and Pen and friends. Let me introduce myself first. So I am Hazrik, medical student from UIA Kuantan. I have about 3 questions. First, what app do you use for spectrogram? Can we actually download it? That's the first one. And the second one, why do we need to use multiple sirens instead of one or single siren? And third is, what do you mean by start with most comfortable when doing siren? Is it mean by use our deepest voice or what? Okay, that's the 3 questions.
Okay, thank you. A very relevant question. So the first one is the voice print, the spectrogram. Well, there are many spectrograms in the market, but the specific one that I'm using is from EVI, the Estile Voice International. So this spectrogram, you can go on EVI's website. If you type Estile Voice International and you go into their online store, and you will find that they have this voice print. For me, I find that this is one of the easiest and systematic voice print. It has everything that you need. I'll just share the screen again one more time for you to have a look. Just hang on. So you see, like this one, for this, you could record that and you can play, and you could also look at this, the power spectrum. Yeah. So in order to use this spectrogram, you will really need to research on how to read this. And this is used a lot with practitioners of the Estile voice model. The Estile voice model is a research. Well, I use a lot in my teaching. It started out by Joe Estile, Dr. Joe Estile, who is a voice scientist in America. So she talks about voice science. Yeah, and so this product is developed by EVI. If you look at their website, you could look at it, Estile Voice International. And if you're using on an iPad or an iPhone, you could look onto your app store, which is much cheaper, but it's slightly limited function. The one that I have, I bought the downloadable version from their website, which comes also with testing facilities, because those who are doing the Estile Voice International, the course, it also has certain exams which are on voice print. So if you buy the one that I'm using, it has functions for you to also do testing. Yeah, so you can do that. So yeah, does that answer your first question, Hazrik?
Yeah, excellent.
Okay, so your second question is regarding why do we have to do multiple sirens and not only one siren? Is that correct?
Why do we need? What the reason behind we need to practice multiple sirens?
Okay, so the first siren that we do is just to have a test, a go to see how our voice is, how we are feeling. All right. So if the first siren that we are doing, we already find that it has bumps and a lot of loops. What do you call it? Like suddenly there's no sound in between. We know that something is not right. But if we do the first round and then the siren is okay, then we continue doing multiple sirens, because we want to get the larynx, okay, or the thyroid cartilage to work much more. All right, the thyroid cartilage, okay, you know, if you can look, you put your finger here and go all the way down to your Adam's apple. All right, that's where your thyroid cartilage is. So the movement of the thyroid cartilage changes the pitch a lot. And you know, if you're a singer, or even for us where we speak, we don't just speak like robots. We don't just speak all the time this way, but we actually have intonations. And different cultures use intonations differently. For example, there are tonal language. Chinese, Thai, Vietnamese, these are all tonal language in which one sound, one syllabus could be in various intonations and produces different meaning. But however, in English or in Malay, we use intonations as ways of expressions. Like we just say, oh no. We don't just go say, oh no, it's rainy today. We go like, oh no, it's rainy today. Or like, oh yay, you're early. See, so we do that. So in order for us to facilitate having this pitch, and especially if you're singing, to have those, if you want to get your higher sounds and your lower sounds, we need your thyroid cartilage to be flexible. And in order to get that flexible, we do multiple sirens so that it moves much, much more. This will relate to the topic of some people having said, like, for example, if someone says that, I am tone deaf, I can never sing. If I sing, it will rain and so on. And these people really want to sing. Yeah. So by having them doing a lot, I help people who are having issues in getting pitch to do sirens. The first thing is sirens. Okay, so when they do much more siren, I get their thyroid cartilage to tilt much more, and also their larynx will be moving up and down. So the more flexibility that they have in control of their vocal tract, they will get much more accurate pitch. And we will cover this in the topic of thyroid cartilage and larynx height. We will cover these two topics. So that's the reason why we do multiple sirens. Yeah, does that answer the question, Hazrik?
Yeah, understood very well.
Right, and your third question, what was your third question again? About most comfortable vocal effort, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, good question. So what is most comfortable vocal effort? Now, this has got to do with, for example, let me give you an analogy. If you are a gym person and you're used to carry 10 kilos of weight in each hand. When you start when you lift up other equipments, the 10 kilos for you in each hand it's nothing. It's comfortable for you. You don't get vocal injuries. But for people who do not do any gym, to carry even 3 kilos on one side, sometimes it's already heavy. And if you do it a lot, maybe you get muscle tear and so on. It's the same thing as well when we're singing. If we immediately start doing our sirens and try to go as high as possible just because the next person who's sitting next door can go up very high, and this happens sometimes with my choirs because I take them to very extreme registers. So if they try to follow somebody next door and it's not within their comfort range, they could actually fall into vocal trauma. Lots of things could happen. They will crack, their voice will crack, and that will cause swelling. And once you have a vocal injury and you don't treat it well, it will lead to other vocal issues and it will take a long time to heal. So we always tell people, do all this exercise at the most comfortable vocal effort, which means at the level of what you feel comfortable. Not too high, not too low, and not to push too much. Yeah, because all these, what we are covering now is under voice science, and it relates to every single thing. Is how we use our voice. So even when we are speaking, if we are not used to speaking very loudly, we don't try to speak loud and push the voice, because other things will work. Like, for example, we might push our breath too much, and when we're pushing a lot of breath, that can also cause subglottal pressure and can cause swelling as well in the vocal fold. So that's why we always tell people, start out with the most comfortable vocal effort, and as you keep on doing your sirens more and more, your body will get used to doing that. Your thyroid cartilage will tilt much more. The larynx will function. Everything functions much better, and then harder things will become easier. So we start with small and we build that up. Does that answer your question, Hazrik?
Yeah, and it brings me to another question.
Okay.
Okay, when do we know that we will push our vocal cord too much, that we will hurt our vocal cord or cause trauma to it? Okay,
so when you're singing, you will roughly know where is your limit when you're singing, whether it's going to be whether the pitch is already too high or is it already too low? So, or is it whether if you're trying to sing loud, it will cause maybe pain. Whenever there is pain, then we know that's already beyond the limit of what you can handle at the moment. Yeah. Maybe Peng, do you have anything to comment about this question?
No, that's very well understood.
Okay. Anyone else having any questions? Okay, so it looks like we don't have any more questions. So for this week, everyone, be good to test out your sirens and see how it works. And you can download any spectrogram that you can find on your what you call Apple Store or your Google app. Yeah, I don't know. Well, you know best where to look for it. Try it out, and for next week we will have Peng again together with us, and we'll be talking about vocal nodules. We'll be talking about how people how you get into vocal nodules. You don't want to develop vocal nodules, but how people fall into that, and what can you do to treat vocal nodules, and what are the exercises. So that's very, very important to know. So we'll cover all these vocal traumas first before we go into all those techniques of how to get you to be a better singer or a better speaker. So we will look at that. All right. So we'll be online next week at 6 p.m. And same thing, tell your friends if they have any questions, please email me. My email is drkcbroadway@gmail.com. drkcbroadway@gmail.com, or you can also friend me on Facebook. My Facebook is KC Broadway. In case when you friend me, please send me a message to tell me who you are, because sometimes I receive lots of friend requests and I really want to know who are they before I start accepting friends. So yeah, I would love to hear from you and your feedback regarding this vocal clinic. And once again, thank you very, very much to ASWARA for sponsoring this program, and so that we can share with as many people as possible about voice health, and for everyone to be able to use your voice well, and also, communicate well and be healthy. So I wish everyone to be safe and take care of yourself, especially in this pandemic time. And we will see each other next week with our guest speaker, Peng, on vocal trauma. So thank you, everyone. Take care. God bless, and see you again next week. Bye-bye.